All right, with lenses, it gets a little bit more complicated, or easier, however you want to look at it. You still have the same two rules that you had with mirrors, but there's a third rule, and this rule is pretty easy. If light goes through the vertex, it's straight. So as you pass through a lens, light gets refracted, right? It's going to bend, okay? But since a lens has two sides, if you go straight through the vertex, remember the vertex is where the principal axis meets the mirror or the lens, the center of it. And again, this is in the PowerPoint 9.3. Okay, so if you draw a incident, remember incident is the one coming into, and make sure you're using a ruler. If you go through the vertex, the light will appear to go straight through. Now, we talked about convex, concave mirrors. This is a lens. It's curving away from the person, so that's a convex lens. But if I were you, I would remember it as the converging lens because that's more helpful. That actually tells you what it's going to do to the light. What's it mean to converge? It means to come together, right? So my advice to you, and again, you can follow it if you want, pretty simple. Always, you only need two lines, right? Two refracted lines to know where the image is. The first one, if I were you, because you have three possibilities, you should always do option number 3 first. Through the vertex, just draw a straight line through the center of the lens. And then you can do either one of these two. All right, the reason why people get confused on lenses is because you have two focal points, right? And people don't know which one to go through. Well, if it's a converging lens, that means when you draw the light, let's say we go parallel, right? And when it hits the lens, right, these light waves have to come together, okay? So if the focal point, and again, we're just eyeballing this, we're not being exact here, but we have two focal points in a lens, right? Because you got two sides, okay? But what makes this converge, right? If I draw a parallel, if I come back to this focal point, right, and this goes off in this direction, is this going to converge with that on this side of the lens? Because remember, light passes through the lens. Is this going to converge? No. Okay. What is going to converge is if I go parallel and I go through the focal point on that side, right? That causes it to converge. Now, granted, it's going to converge way down here, and it helps if I draw my little line straight. Okay. But the guy is going to end up way down here, okay? Now, by the way, if you do this in such a way that the light never touches and it went all the way off the paper, then you just wouldn't produce an image, okay? But they are going to touch over here. It just helps if I actually draw them straight, all right? That's a converging lens. What's the other type of lens? The other type of lens is a diverging lens. What's it mean to diverge, right? Do you guys read the books? Divergent. Converge is come together. Diverge means to split apart, okay? So again, principal axis, okay? You have your mirror. Now, excuse me, not a mirror. It's a lens, right? But it looks like the concave mirror. If your image is over here, right, and is curving towards you. So in order to make a diverging lens, you actually take two concave sides, right? And again, there's two focal points, and that part people find confusing. But you only need two lines, okay? And the first line should always be through the vertex. It doesn't matter what type of lens it is. Now, that third rule only works for lenses. So we're going to pass straight through the center, the vertex where it meets the principal axis, and it's going to pass straight through. And again, you should use a ruler, okay? Because you're going to be required to be a lot more accurate than I'm being on here. All right? And then, second rule, again, you could go through the focal point or you could go parallel. Now, you don't know which focal point to go through per se right off the bat, so again, my advice is draw a parallel line and where it hits the center of the lens, okay? It's going to have to go through a focal point. Again, you got two focal points. How do I know which focal point it goes through? Well, it's a diverging lens. If I go through this focal point over here, then these two lines eventually are going to cross. So that's not going to work, because that wouldn't be a diverging lens, that would be a converging lens. So I'm not going to draw through this focal point, I'm going to draw through this focal point. Now this is not a mirror, it's not going to bounce, right? What's really going to happen is it's going to refract off in that direction. Okay? Are these two lines diverging? Well, yes they are, so I must have done them right. Okay, but I don't make an image over here, is what you would say. But remember, you can backtrack through the focal point. And this line, by the way, if you backtracked, it would be back to the point of origin. And so where they cross is right here. And this is where your image is. Okay, now, did light really hit this lens and back up? No. Okay? It's just like a convex mirror. This is not a real image. Okay? If your eyeball was over here, looking at this, figure through a diverging or concave lens, what you would see, you wouldn't see this big figure up here, the actual object. You would see a tiny virtual image. That's what you would see. Okay, so this is a virtual image. This wouldn't be real. All right. Whereas this over here would be a real image, because light is really coming through the lens and really intersecting here. Now, if you're still fuzzy on real and virtual image, when we get back, we'll do the lab, and the lab will make a lot more sense because we'll produce the real images. Anyway, that's the, I think the three main things people said they were having issues with. So give these videos a whirl, try to work on your interference worksheet, and you can even take pictures of you doing some of the work. You don't have to upload all the worksheets. Like I said, they're not necessarily due until we get back. But if you just want to show me what you're working on, say yes, that's right, no, that's not right, you can take a little picture and upload it or put it on email, and I'll let you know. Otherwise, hope you're having a good day, and if you have any further questions or comments, you can email me. You can obviously post on Edmodo, or you can send a private message if you'd prefer to do that. All right, thank you. See you later.